Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles, where you learn how to be the magician of your life. My name is Anna, and I'm your most favorite manifestation coach under the sun. Reason why is my coaching is unlike any other coaching on the internet. You will literally not find it in this capacity. I spend the most time with each and every single one of my clients. I coach mainly in audios and telephone sessions, as well as emails and text messages in between if anything arises. I have two main, most popular packages on my website. The link is below. Audio Exchange Unlimited and Telephone Exchange Unlimited. How it works is that we first schedule a phone session upon your booking of my either one of the package. You need to sign the coaching agreement and send me an email when we can schedule the phone session. The phone session lasts an hour. It is recorded for posterity, with your permission, of course, simply because I'd like to take notes later in order to keep the notes intact. The notes are really important to me. I take extensive notes from each and every single audio of yours, but the first thing is the conversation where we meet each other and we discuss what you'd like to basically work on in coaching. After that, if it's an unlimited audio package, we exchange audios. Each audio of yours has to be 20-minute max. Otherwise, it becomes too overwhelming for me. I usually spend about 2 hours on each audio, transcribing it in my own way, if you will. But I love to take extensive notes so that I can address certain things of interest, which are many, especially if I'm getting to know you and you're new in my coaching. I would really recommend the audio exchange. In a similar manner, the other package is phone sessions, primarily, mostly, and we interact 2 to 3 times per week, but it's an hour session. And so I record that session and then I go through it, take my extensive notes, which you understand is a lot more work, and then we'll reconvene with my feedback and notes and my suggestions at the next session. Now, with the audio package unlimited, you also have 5 telephone sessions per month. I usually recommend 2 to 3 months in coaching with me for real results. I cover everything extensively from your childhood, adolescence, college years, etc., up until the present time. And what it does is it helps me really map out your entire history. Why is it so interesting to me? Because it helps me understand who is in my coaching, the kind of beliefs you've inherited through your experiences, and what it is that we really need to work on. Because oftentimes some people come with me to me with a certain concern, like SP, most of the time, and actually it turns out that the SP is just the tip of the iceberg. This is very common because people have lived in their dysfunctional state for so long, they don't realize that actually the answer is themselves. And so this is why I go through everything meticulously, and then and only then we start working on different techniques of how to relinquish that, those certain beliefs on the belief system especially, and of course very meticulously, and then we proceed to manifestation. And so with that being said, everything needs to be covered, all of your history before we proceed to manifestation. If you're one of those impatient people who don't understand that 2 to 3 months or even 4 or 5 months in coaching is worth the time to finally relinquish all that shit that you've been living, that dysfunctional cycle, together with your dysfunctional beliefs, I'm sorry, this is not the coaching for you. You need to really be patient with yourself and myself. I know what I'm doing. I've done this for over 8 years. If you follow my guidance, you will never need another coach again. But you really need to come humble and honest and open. Don't rebuttal me. Prepare to show up and do the work. And most importantly, follow my guidance, like I said. Some of these points are included in my coaching agreement. Number one being I'm not a psychologist. I understand that it's a similar process, but it's not the same because I'm allowed to give you feedback. I'm a very direct coach. I will tell you exactly like it is. Some people perceive me as being harsh on my channel. I have a certain personality, if you will. But the fact is, I'm direct. I'm direct. I don't tolerate people who are lazy, quite frankly, and don't show up and do the work. I don't understand people who disrespect the coach, and that's also in my agreement. And the fact is, I'm also extraordinarily patient. It takes a little while for me, to finally lose my cool. But if you disrespect me, my coaching with you will end. I understand it's not easy for some people to hear that they are responsible for what's going on in their life, but that's the truth. And I'm here to help you if you let me. My techniques always work. My methods always work. If you can't handle an honest opinion of somebody telling you exactly like it is, again, this coaching is not for you. I'm just here on the assumption you want to break out of your dysfunctional cycle and create something new in your life. I don't dilly-dally. I don't sugarcoat it. That's the name of my coaching. That's the name of the game here. If you find the truth offensive, go ahead and embark yourself on one of these channels that will feed you different techniques till the end of time and will never address your actual issue. Everybody has an issue. It's usually centered around a certain emotion, a certain repetitive cycle. It never fails. I've done this long enough where I know how to have you fix it, how to have you relinquish it. But if you don't let me tell you what the problem is, the problem will remain. And so if you are into saving yourself some time and not be, in therapy till the end of time or in coaching till the end of time, then I'm definitely the coach for you. And when I mean therapy, I only mean those people who don't actually have a psychological disorder, which I'm incapable of helping. Not equipped to. I'm not a psychiatrist, like I said. I'm here for those people who have had enough and really want results. Okay, so if you understand that, sign up for my coaching and, be ready and prepared to work. So before I start with my subject today, I want to clarify something from the last audio, which thank you very much. A lot of people liked. And by the way, I forgot to mention a few countries of my clients, and I'd like to address this now before I go on with my clarifications, a couple of them. I forgot to mention UK, Austria, Germany, Luxembourg, Canada. I forgot to mention a couple of states, Arkansas, Nevada, Colorado, Oregon, New Jersey, as well as Mexico and Argentina, and that completes the list. And I'm not forgetting anybody else. So my apologies to everybody who was not included in the list. Thank you very much. Those are my clients that I'm mentioning, and so shout out to all of you in those countries and states. So the clarification goes like this. In last audio, I mentioned married people. So hear me out. So manifesting a situation with a married person, okay? And I think a couple of people got pissed off, so I want to clarify what I actually meant. And so if you encounter, if you're married, let's start with that. If you're married, and marriage, by the way, I don't equate it to something untouchable. Nothing is off limits. Yes, even the married people. And here's why. If two people come into a marriage situation, and at some point, energetically, they disconnect, there's no more involvement. Even though on paper they're still married, essentially the marriage is over. They're no longer energetically intertwined. One has evolved past the marriage, meaning even though no cheating has occurred or no third party yet manifested, they are not in sync. The energy is not in sync. And so when that happens, inevitably, either a divorce happens or a third party appears. A third party does not happen for no reason. All right. So whether it's a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship or a marriage, it really does not matter. If you're not in sync with your partner, if you're not working on your relationship, if you're not working on yourself, or they're not working on themselves, and it's just not there, people grow apart. It happens. One of the people, one of the persons is not in sync anymore with the whole agenda of marriage. And so that's when a third party appears. Now, if the third party happens to be you, I wouldn't feel so bad. I just wouldn't. Before you even showed up, manifested this married person, whoever they are, their relationship was already over. Whether that's legally or not, it truly doesn't matter. Energetically, that marriage is finished. Okay? Now, it's up to them if they want to work on it, and clearly they haven't. Okay? Now, again, I wouldn't jump into a relationship with somebody like this. I'm just talking about meeting somebody and really liking somebody. I would let them figure their shit out and just allow it to be, without your interference. Okay? But chances are, if your connection is pure and you really felt a strong bond with this person, and there's no more bond with the other person, that is a legitimate connection. And there are no rules. Like I said, nobody is off limits. Okay? People fall out of love. People disconnect. People grow apart. It happened. Or we're not supposed to be married in the first place. Sometimes people get married for all the wrong reasons. Somebody got pregnant, or there was pressure from the family, and this, that, and the other. Like, getting pregnant, in my opinion, is not a reason to get married to that person. That just means you were irresponsible, okay, on some level. And you got pregnant before you got even married, okay? Maybe you should, engage with that person for a few years and then build a family. But that's just my own opinion. There are mistakes that people make, and so nothing is off limits. Okay, the same with relationships. If a third party shows up, whether that's you or somebody else, universe doesn't make mistakes. Okay, it happened because those two people in the original relationship were not in sync anymore. Somebody got insecure. Somebody was not putting in the effort. Somebody was not evolving, like I said, was not putting in the work in themselves. Things happen. And so you know what? Nobody's to blame but those two people. It's between those two people and not the third party. And I'll give you an example from my own life to prove my fucking point. Okay? Get ready. This is going to be a long audio. I have been married twice before. And both times I got married in a hurry, I would say. Okay, I should have spent a little more time dating this person. But I was younger, a lot younger, and excited, especially in the first time around. And eventually I realized that we're not evolving together. We're not. I was putting in the effort into myself, reading, researching, evolving, becoming somebody new and better and just more evolved, and the other person was not. And you know what's so funny? Both times, the other person, both of my ex-husbands found somebody else. Okay, and I was not upset at all. I was like, good, perfect. I get rid of you because I'm kind of tired of you. Okay, that's what happens. Sometimes people just don't connect anymore, and it's just the situation where the other one is looking at the other like, how we're going to like just leave this behind. Okay, those situations happen. Sometimes people divorce for other reasons, but I just want to point you into the in the direction of considering that if a third party showed up, and this is why the person left the marriage was over even before that third party showed up. Okay, so all is fair game, all is fair in love. And now I want to read a comment by Simone Gem. And I think this is like what a lot of people are asking. So I'm just going to like kind of address this really quick. Okay, she says, I sometimes get confused with this. In one video, the message is, if we want them to think of us, we got to think positively about them, that they're thinking positively about us, and then manifest them towards us. But then in another message, it's like we should think less of them, not put energy towards them so that they are drawn to us. She says, I'm confused. Okay, can you clarify? First of all, I never said just think positively of them, and that's how they will appear. What I always say, day in and day out, almost every audio I say, if you align with yourself, if you put in the work on yourself, and you become a different person, they will become a different person. Thinking positively, quote unquote, will get you absolutely fucking nowhere. You have to direct the energy towards yourself. You don't have to hate them. There is that. Of course, if you kind of like hate them, resentment, and are angry with them, you will not be able to manifest them. But you have to direct the energy towards yourself. I say it all the time, all the time, all the time. If you are that person who has that SP, you're a different person. And so just thinking positively is not the answer. This is why so many people don't manifest shit, because they're too busy thinking positively and don't do anything about themselves personally. I also never said anything about thinking less of them. What I always say is that you're the priority, you're the golden Buddha. You can think of them, just think of them in a different way, not obsessively, not in a negative light, not hating them, not being resentful. But thinking less, I never said that at all. Please, guys, don't misquote me. If you cannot hear it first time around, like listen to it again. I put a lot of work in these audios. So there's some things that like people quote me as that I never fucking said, okay? Not for nothing, but please pay attention. I always say it's the quality of existence, the quality of the world you reside in, the kind of person you are, the kind of reflections you get back. That's what it's all about. And not obsessing. If you want to not obsess about somebody, you need to become that person who's not obsessing about anybody, but who's investing their attention towards themselves. That's my whole entire situation. So, again, The main dish here is you. You're the manifestor, you're the creator, you're the golden Buddha. Just doing affirmations and doing some kind of like techniques will get you absolutely fucking nowhere, and especially thinking positively. So I hope that I answered that profusely. Okay, the subject of today is how to cast a spell on your SP. And again, really quick, going back to the whole third party, whether you're the third party or you find yourself in a situation with a third party. Listen to me now. You don't have to do anything in the 3D. You don't. It's all mental, and it's a mental game. So now going into the subject, how to cast a spell on your SP, you are the spell. Your mind is the spell, okay? This is not some woo-woo shit. This is energy work, straight up. And it can only happen if you're so in sync with yourself. If you've got the clear picture of who you are and you've worked through your beliefs, through your energy work, meaning if you had resentment, old beliefs that are dysfunctional, anger, fears, paranoias, whatever the fuck you're dealing with, you're clear of that. You cannot create anything new if you're still hanging on, energetically attached to the past. If you're angry about something, you need to clear it. If you're resentful about something, anything at all, you need to clear it, especially towards that person. If you are fearful of something, you need to clear that as well. Even if it's not towards that person, if you reside in a state of fear, you need to fucking clear that shit. And we work on that in my coaching extensively because that's your blueprint. You have a blueprint you're walking around with, and if you're attached to that blueprint, you need to process it and create a new one. So your mind is a really powerful situation, really powerful tool. Like I said, this is not mumbo jumbo. This is the real fucking deal, okay? Now look at two people can say, and you know, some people have these things on YouTube where like they literally do a spell and candles and potpourri and whatever the fuck else. Okay, that's great. If it puts you in a state of vibration, you need this ritual of thing. You know what I do? I just burn incense and it puts me in a nice, you know, high altitude state, high energy state. And then whatever it is I do, everything's a spell, you might say. Your intentions are spells. Your affirmations become spells. Your scripting becomes spells. Your visualization becomes spells. But only if you believe it and if you're on high vibration, high altitude. You're in that energetic state of I command the world. I command the universe. I command whoever I want to fucking command. Now, parenthesis here, you have to come with benevolence. You can't hurt anybody, in other words. This is why interference in anything, meaning like, again, the third party situation, you don't have to walk up to anybody or, you know, do anything to get your way. It's all a mental thing, okay? And you have to be benevolent. You can't hurt anybody. Well, you could, but it's going to come right back to you. So why do that, right? First of all, if you understand the laws of the universe, you don't want to hurt anybody. You don't need to hurt anybody. You can get your shit anyway. Because if you understand parallel realities and that in your reality, everything's playing in your favor, even in the third party situation, whether you're the third party or they've got a third party or whatever the fuck the situation is, some kind of situation where it's not to your liking, you can turn the shit around all in your favor without hurting anyone. Never do you need to do that. Like all of a sudden the situation changed where everybody's content. Everybody's content, just like I gave you an example where I was happy my ex-husband found somebody else because I wasn't invested anymore in the marriage. I'm like, good, bon chance, happiness to the two of you. They were pretty shocked. But anyway, I was not upset at all because I was done with that. So just like that, the universe always is for creation, for expansion, for benevolence. And you, again, you can get anything or anyone without, being the mean person, basically, or doing something stupid. The casting of the spell, it goes like this, right? You make an intention about something. You find yourself in the most impossible fucking situation, and you say, well, this guy or this girl, they've been like dragging me around, or kind of like here and there, hot and cold, other third parties, and this and that and the other. Well, all of this is changing now. And you're commanding them and the universe that all of this is changing now. Without a scintilla doubt in your mind, you're saying, this is my creation to begin with. This person I've attracted into my universe. Of course, I have power over them. I have power over the entire situation. All right? And parenthesis here really quick. You don't know. In the case of a married person, you might be saving them from an unhappy marriage. And I know some people will hate me for saying that, but that's just the reality of things. Like I said, sometimes people disengage and they don't want to be together anymore, but they just kind of like drift along. They don't want to hurt each other's feelings, and they just like stay miserable. Who the fuck wants to stay miserable? Maybe you showed up and inspired this person to be happy again. Sometimes people forget what it's like to be happy. Or the other way around. Maybe you needed to get rid of that SP to a third party in order to understand something about yourself. That you might be insecure. Or that you didn't want that person to begin with. Like a lot of people get into my coaching and they're like, Anna, this guy and no guy. This girl or no girl. And sometimes it stays like that, but sometimes it changes, and they work on themselves in my coaching, and they say, you know what, after all, I don't fucking want their ass back. I don't. I can do better. I settled for this person, but I don't want them. The reality of things is that I don't want them. And that's valid too. So everything serves its purpose. At the end of the day, it goes back to you. I cannot stress this enough. Be about yourself, not in a selfish way, and by selfish, okay, my vocabulary is different from other people. I realize that selfish has different meanings in different people's mouths. And you can say selfish, I'm being selfish, Selfish is a good thing if you're doing something for yourself that is going to be for good. Selfish in other people's mouths can mean, it's just only about myself and I don't really care about other people's feelings. No, that's just not how I mean it. I mean, you intended something to create something good in your life, and you did, and you created that. And so with your mind, you created. There are different ways to do it energetically. You send an energy towards that person who you've been having trouble with, whatever the situation is. Third party, hot and cold, la la la, la la la. And that energy contains information. Now you have to be really on purpose about it, really certain, really kind of confident. And say, this is what you're thinking now. This is the energy that's going to surround our relationship now. I know before it wasn't like that, and we were in conflict or this and that. It could be anybody, by the way. It doesn't have to be a lover, but primarily a lover. And so this is how we're going to, this is the kind of relationship we're going to have. These are the kinds of thoughts that you're going to have towards me. These are the kinds of conversations that we're going to have. The spell is energy. You're sending energy towards that person consistently, day in and day out. They're under your spell the entire time anyway, whether that's a good spell or not so good spell. Okay, meaning like the kind of energy you're sending towards them. Now, look, if you're one of those people who derives pleasure into going into these situations where, you know, it's like abracadabra and lighting something on fire, and I don't know, a candle or some potpourri or some sage or something, be my guest. But understand that the idea is to have your mind aligned with that new reality. Casting a spell on your new version of events, new version of that person. Communicating that to them through vibration, through energy, is way more powerful than any fucking candle under the sun, okay? This is why I'm saying to you that the spell is you, your energy. The energy leaves your body, travels almost instantaneously. Maybe instantaneously, I don't know why I said almost. And is delivered to this person, momentarily so. They receive the message and now they start thinking those thoughts. Now they start thinking the way that you command them. And I know a lot of people are going to say this is manipulation. You don't have any right to do this. Well, guess what? People who say that, you're already doing this any fucking way, except you're doing this in reverse. You're already doing it towards everybody in your reality. Name a person and you're already doing it. So now, how much more sophisticated and advanced would you be to create this on purpose, with intention, on purpose, with the highly sophisticated result that you would never otherwise encounter? Your energy creates that spell. Nothing else. Your energy. Your intention. And again, like, look, some people don't believe in scripting. I wholeheartedly do. And here's why. Because myself and the way I teach scripting in my coaching, I wholeheartedly believe that what I've written is reality. And even Neville Goddard says there is no fiction. There is no fiction. There is absolutely no fiction. And so you wrote down something and you understand that it's a standing order, that it's like when you go to a, restaurant and you say, can I please have caviar and champagne? They're going to bring you caviar and champagne. That's what scripting is, and you have to be specific about it. But if you don't believe you're going to get caviar and champagne when you order it, then fucking forget it. It's not going to work. So being on purpose is the name of the game. That's the energy of confidence. And really quick parenthesis here, I wanted to insert the story. Those of you Neville Goddard fans and lovers, you will remember Neville himself was married when he met his second wife. His first wife, they had a son, and they were separated. They were still legally married, but they were separated, and they weren't really kind of like interacting anymore for a reason, because something didn't connect there. And he was still married when he first met his second wife, the costume designer. And so please don't tell me these stories about how that's taboo. Things happen in life, and sometimes for very better, because I think his first wife was like shoplifting or something and got herself into trouble. Clearly not a sound-minded person. So in conclusion, I am not in agreement with people who say that you cannot cast a love spell. You cannot cast a spell for money. You cannot cast a spell for whatever, you name it. Yes, you can. And you're doing it all day long. You just might not be doing it on purpose and in the way that it's supposed to be. You're not directing the energy the way it's supposed to be. And I teach a class on my website specifically for those who are kind of like already like more involved, I would say, about the energy class. But it has to be that you understand that you're doing it already. Instead of saying this is something mysterious. And when somebody says spell, the first thing I suppose visually that comes to mind is some kind of a witch boiling something in a pot. I'm sorry. It's hey, if you want to get a pot and start wearing a witch hat, go for it, my darling. I'm not going to stop you. But really, what it all comes down to, though, it's the energy. They were putting themselves in this, even those witches way back when, they were putting themselves, what they were doing there, they were doing all these like potions, commotions, in order to bring themselves into a state. And they knew that they would affect the entire universe by, quote unquote, casting a spell in their own way. I could say, holy shit, bananas, and they could be a spell. I could say abracadabra, and that could be a spell. I could say nothing and just vibrate my energy out into the universe, and that's a spell. But the idea is you have to know what you're doing and the kind of energy you're sending out. And like I said, you're already doing it every single day towards people and outcomes and everything like that. It's just a matter of doing it on purpose. And so if you want them to think a certain way, they're going to think a certain way. If you want them to do certain things, they're going to do exactly that. Exactly that. It doesn't matter. It's all that it is that your confidence has to be there, that you are creating it and nobody else is. Thank you very much for listening. All the information from me is below. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.